everybody. Welcome to the DorkPod. This is DorkJuice.com's first ever podcast. It's fucking momentous. I'm Joel Higgins. I do some writing, some video work, and now some podcasting at DorkJuice.com. Who are you, sir?
I am Sam Sherman. I'm a student at the University of Illinois. I also am a contributor on DorkJuice.com, most importantly. And I'm very excited to be here today.
And who do we have on the speakerphone via mobile technology?
Mobile technology would be Bunk from Albany, New York, as you would pronounce it. Albany here to the natives, but commuting all the way over the airwaves. But here for a great, hopefully, first podcast.
Fucking, there's no hopefully to it. This is going to be awesome.
It's going to be very
right, exactly.
So, DorkJuice.com, in case you don't know, is a site for nerd culture, dorky shit. We also do a lot of profanity, a lot of humor. That's kind of our MO. And this is the first podcast, so hell yeah. While you're listening to this podcast, why not check out DorkJuice.com?
It'd be really complimentary, I think. You could listen to us, you could read some articles. I mean, I don't want anybody to get distracted. I want the full experience. But I mean, you can really get the full Dork Juice experience here today.
Exactly. And so this podcast, the DorkPod is what we're calling it because we're original, is just going to be some video games we're playing, some movies we're watching, some TV shows we're watching, and also some shit that we're looking forward to in the future. So you can communicate with us via our Twitter hashtag campaign, which makes it sound official.
It is official. That's beautiful.
It's super official. It's hashtag the DorkPod. That's super easy to remember. Or you can just find us on Twitter at DorkJuiceTweets. Also easy to remember. So what are we talking about first today? First, we're going into video games. Have you guys played Injustice: Gods Among Us?
I have not played it, but I did watch I watched the trailer today online, and they actually have a full feature length. I think it's like an hour and 50-minute clip of like all of the cinematic things from the game clipped together.
Did you watch it?
But not for an hour and 50 minutes. I mean, I just did it this morning. I was watching the trailer first just to get the gist of it, but I had watched your rant on the website earlier in the week, so.
I was watching some trailers for it, and I also did see that hour of all the cutscenes, and the fact that they do that now is pretty cool. That they just put together all the cutscenes they call it like a movie, like which is an interesting thing.
So we got on Twitter, we got Pickle Jar wants to chat with us, and he's wondering if we can turn on the chat in the podcast. Is that a thing? Can we do that?
We can turn on the chat, I think.
Will we hear it
on the podcast?
Yeah.
In what way?
I don't know. Will it cause a problem, is my question.
Oh, what does he want to do? Like, talk to us?
Yeah, I guess. Like, chat at us. Chat at us.
I don't know. If he can, is he on Twitter? Or is he?
He's on Twitter.
Can he tweet at us?
Just tweet at us.
Yeah.
Tweet at us.
Tweet it all.
To Pickle Jar. Tweet at us.
Tweet all over the place.
So yeah, I played Injustice: Gods Among Us, and I did a What's Wrong with Video, which is a video series we do at Dork Juice. Did you guys watch that? You should have watched it.
I did.
What'd you think of it?
The video or
yeah,
the game?
The video. How awesome am I?
No, I love them.
Phenomenal.
I enjoy those a lot. I like the whole idea behind making fun of the things that we love, but in some cases. There's a lot about, it turns out the things that we love, there's a lot of things we don't like about those things.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The Injustice: Gods Among Us, it's sort of like, I love the genre that they were in. I sort of love their wheelhouse, what they were going for, but there are just so many better fighting games out there, and I'm a DC fan, but I'm not a big enough DC fan for that to be the only thing that sells me.
I was watching the trailer for it, and a couple other gameplay videos, and I was thinking to myself, how did Joel not love this game? How is this not an incredible game? It looks like just an epic game.
Well, Joel, you said that the storyline for it was
the storyline's weird, right? And the storyline's so weird that I actually got it kind of wrong in the video, and some people sent me private messages and let me know I got it wrong. I mean, it wasn't anything major, but it's just a hard to follow, stupid storyline. A, B. If it's on the What's Wrong With channel, I guess this is a good place to say this. If it's on the What's Wrong With video series, then that means that we love it, right? But the point is that, like, if it's on there, we love it. So you can say, I did love this game. That's true. I loved it. You have to love it to make it on the channel. Now, what we're doing the next one on, I'm not so sure. I love.
That's going to be interesting, and we're going to have to really sort of redefine the way that we think of loving something, maybe.
Yeah.
But,
well, the way I was thinking about it is I love Rob Zombie.
Yeah. Oh, I love Rob Zombie too. No, I mean, the plenty of films that he has made I've liked, enough so where I can consider him a director that I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
Devil's Rejects.
Devil's Rejects.
Even the Halloween remake that he did, I enjoyed. He did a good job with that. But what you're going to hear about a little bit today, and then eventually, and What's Wrong with video, not so sure.
We don't have the best things to say about Rob Zombie's new movie.
Oh, you guys didn't like it? I thought it was wonderful.
Is that sarcasm? Am I detecting?
Does sarcasm come across on podcasts?
I think so.
I don't know. My apologies, but yeah, no sarcasm.
Were you throwing up quotation marks when you said that, or?
I did with my fingers, but obviously you can't see that. So.
No.
Oh, by the way, the pickle jar is not happy.
I see that.
Yeah.
Pickle jar.
Oof.
Pickle jar.
That is at pickle jar.
At TEH. There we go. Is not happy at all. But we're insulting his mother, so that should suffice. What a dick. All right. So yeah, Injustice: Gods Among Us. My final verdict on it was like, I would probably get it. I only got it when it came out because I was super excited.
It looks like an amazing game.
Yeah, I bought the whole package, hook, line, and sinker, and I was there fucking opening night. Like, and there are very few games that I'm opening night have to get it. But yeah, I was just disappointed. I'd say maybe get it. I don't know, when it goes on sale for back to school specials or some shit. Did they do that for video games? I don't know.
Yeah. Target releases the buy 3 for like 30 or something.
Yeah, do that. But yeah, if you're looking for a better fighting game and one that I would recommend more, Mortal Kombat 9, for sure. I don't think it's just called Mortal Kombat, but it's the latest Mortal Kombat game. It's the same people. It's NetherRealm. Those are the same people that made Injustice, but Mortal Kombat 9 has blood.
Is it actually called Mortal Kombat 9?
I think it's just called Mortal Kombat, but everyone I know refers to it as Mortal Kombat 9 because it is the 9th.
Nice. It's like that Now series of CDs that they sell on the television. It's up to like 32.
I want to see commercials for that. Mortal Kombat 9!
That's probably why they dropped the 9. They realized how fucking ridiculous that sounds.
Well, 9 is good. It's once they get up into the double digits that people start thinking that it's ridiculous.
Well, that's only the next one, man. They'll just call it X. You wait. They'll call it Mortal Kombat X.
That's the only reason they're going to make 10 of them.
Yeah.
Is because they were like, someday.
In the future. In the year 2000. All right, so next up, I guess that's our video game spiel. You should watch the video. It's on our YouTube channel. It's a much more comprehensive listing of everything I had a problem with at the game, and that's just youtube.com/dorkjuice. There's also some other shit there you should watch too, and that's something, since we're on the podcast, that we can sort of do insider information. Mm-hmm. That's something we're doing at Dork Juice. The latest What's Wrong With was our best video release. And so what we're doing is really like beefing up the video content. That's sort of our next big move. So you should really keep a look on that YouTube channel. The next thing we're doing is actually fucking hilarious in my mind. It's a like Onion-like news show. But the stuff we cover is video game news that we just make up.
On the spot?
No.
Yeah, no.
It's really stupid shit too. It's like people, one of the bits is that one of our anchors, we're like saying that one of our anchors recently died, and so we have like a memorial reel set up. And you find out that he died in an epic capture the flag match in Modern Warfare 3.
Awesome.
So the thing is, we just show this headshot in Modern Warfare 3 in slow motion with Sarah McLachlan's In the Arms of the Angels playing in the background.
That sounds like a beautiful piece of stuff.
I mean,
Sarah McLachlan, friend of the show.
Friend of the show, yeah. Sarah McLachlan. Sarah McLach, as I call her.
Yeah.
McLach.
Are you gonna like splice in like images of like dogs in kennels and stuff
I am.
too?
Dogs getting their heads
Did you get a
shot.
crossover sort of thing with the?
We did.
Yeah,
We did.
yeah.
We are now fully funded by the Humane Society.
Thank God, if anything screams dork, it's the Humane Society.
I'm telling you. All right. That's what the YouTube channel's at. We're making the next one today after this podcast. We're making the one on Rob Zombie's Lords of Salem. And that news show is called For Real Though News. We're making that this week. It's probably going to be out late this week. So
Lots of fun stuff coming in.
lots of fun shit happening at dorkjuice.com. We're going to play a little bit of music here. This is a little bit of Bit Crush, our favorite kind of music. This was made by someone on this podcast right now. Who was that?
Oh yeah, that's me.
That's Bunk. Oh, Bunk.
Bunk.
All right, here we go. All right, we're going to play a little bit Crush. We'll be right back. This is the DorkPod. Pickle Jar doesn't think we're funny on Twitter. He says it's not
Oh
funny.
man.
It's all right.
We're going to have to start a war with Pickle Jar.
Yeah.
You're going down, bitch. We have the power of podcast.
It's all live too.
All live.
At least we
Otherwise,
spelled the right in our hashtag.
All right, so we're back, DorkPod, our first ever podcast at DorkJuice.com. You can tweet at us, and we will probably respond to you at hashtag
We'll most
DorkPod.
definitely respond.
We will most definitely respond. The entire show is based around you tweeting us. So that's hashtag the DorkPod. We just got through some video games, so now let's talk some TV. I know we're all big TV buffs. What are you guys looking forward to? I know, Bunk, you were telling me that you were looking forward to Arrested Development's big return.
Yeah, I'm super psyched because I mean, you know, I think that the whole the fact that Netflix is bringing back the show just to refund it because there's so many like you look at like the internet nowadays and everybody's doing like Kickstarter funds to like get Veronica Mars and like shows that they just actually appreciate that got the early release, if you will, from the airwaves. So I'm looking forward to it. That show, I mean, I used to die watching that show. It's just hilarious, and everything that they've done so far, viral marketing wise, releasing posters and stuff, it just looks like it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah,
as far as the new season.
When they were like, for years, obviously there have been rumors that there was going to be all these different things around like the return of Arrested Development in some form, and I actually and I was obviously a big fan of the show. As many people were, but I kind of stayed away from a lot of those rumors, to be honest, because I didn't want to get my hopes up or anything like that. But then when they finally said that that Netflix was going to be doing this and that there was all this kind of exciting Arrested Development news coming out, and that a lot of it was confirmed, that's when I kind of was able to sit back and be like, here we go. And I think that there's a really, really, really cool stuff coming from them.
When is it coming back?
May 26th. They're doing 15 episodes, and they all drop on the same day at the same time. So literally, if you have the Netflix instant stream, you can just go on May 26th and watch all 15 episodes all the way through.
Wow.
I wonder what percentage of Arrested Development fans are going to watch every episode.
Yeah, that's going to be me. I mean, I've already set a day aside. There's not even a point in fighting it.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that soon. See, I was really late on the Arrested Development bandwagon.
Everybody really was,
yeah.
though. I mean, nobody seemed to. Well, if people had watched it when it's on, then it wouldn't have gotten taken up.
Yeah. I didn't start watching Arrested Development until like last summer, and they had it on Hulu, and so I just went down, watched the entire fucking thing.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm gangsta. Fucking gangsta. You know,
that's all right. You picked it up at the right time. That's all.
I did pick it up. Yeah. I just got done watching is Hannibal. Have you guys watched Hannibal?
Yup.
Yes. I haven't watched it yet. I've watched sort of like some trailers and things like that. I know like the story behind it and everything, which I love.
It's a weird fucking show, man. Like, I don't know how you feel about it, Bunk, but I can barely understand the guy that plays Hannibal. Like, I can't understand a fucking word he says. So
well, he's got this like creepy German Nazi vibe going on with him. Yeah. And like, I just keep finding myself watching it and getting really like, it gets really intense and you're just waiting for something to happen. And I was like, I remember this morning I was just laying watching, I think it was like the second episode or something, but the redheaded reporter, when she's like being all
hot. I mean, she's a little hot. Can I just say that?
Yeah.
She's
yeah, no, you can. You can.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please. But but he makes a comment to her, you know, in his creepy German Nazi-esque way, and he's just kind of like, it's like, you've been very bad. What are we going to do about that? And then it literally cuts to a scene. It literally cuts to a scene of him and what's his name? Lawrence Fishburne eating some meat on a plate. And all I can think is like, oh my God, he just chopped this woman up. Now they're eating her. Delicious.
And that's happened like a few times. Those are actually my favorite moments when you're not really sure if Hannibal is feeding other people to Morpheus. So I mean, it's an alright show though, overall. Apart from the fact that you can't understand what the fuck Hannibal's talking about.
I mean, I love the fact though that we have, it's on NBC, right?
Yeah.
That you know, network like NBC is having it, kind of testing out a show like this, and this because with all the TV that's out there, they're kind of trying to show some alternative stuff than they would usually show. At least to me, what I would.
I'm afraid though, because NBC has a habit of like starting a really great show with a really good idea and then just like completely fucking ruining it in subsequent seasons. They did that with Community. Community used to be one of my favorite shows, and they just, I mean, it just got destroyed because of Dan Harmon and Chevy Chase and NBC.
Well, the moment that when The Office finally ends, I don't know when that's going to happen actually, because it seems like it's been running on forever. But whenever a cast member, I thought that ended already. Good lord. Whenever a cast member in the office wants to make their own TV show, NBC is going to go, hey Hannibal, you're gone, and we're going to bring in the I don't even know,
some stupid
one
shit.
Of the
I thought the idea behind Grimm on NBC was really cool. Like, I remember right before Grimm came out, I was seeing like trailers for it, and I was like, fuck yeah, because I love all the Grimm fairy tales. And then I watched the first episode, and I've never gone back. That was the biggest dog pile. Just ruined it. It was terrible. They also, I mean, speaking of, you know, sort of prequels or retellings of serial killers on TV right now, there's also Bates Motel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a super popular theme, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know why all of a sudden.
Well, I mean, they're taking, I don't know why, like now it's like trendy sort of thing, but obviously they're taking from the classic, you know, sort of, not exactly from, they're kind of alternate, sort of a prequel, I guess. In a weird way, of Psycho and Norman Bates. And
I don't even know if it's so much just like old classic serial killer movies, because now they're. I think I just read about it yesterday that MTV got like greenlit to do a Scream series.
What?
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, they're gonna. They want to like ruin other things. You know, what they already have on the air. Yet another non-music established show on MTV.
Well, that's gonna be a fucking hoot. I can't wait for that.
I'll tell you what bothers me about all this though. Is dorks like us and people listening who love horror movies and have loved them forever, and stupid horror movies and good horror, whatever. Now, suddenly it's like cool. Like for the longest time, people like dismissed horror movies as like, oh, they are what they are. We're gonna watch our independent films and all this. And suddenly, the horror genre or the thriller genre is getting more popular, and they're incorporating in TV and major networks, and everyone's like, yeah, this is our stuff. It's like, no, this is our stuff.
Yeah. And my problem too is it's not even real like horror. It's like horror light, you know? I mean, if you watch Hannibal or you watch Bates Motel and you think that's horror, you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. It's not.
Bates Motel isn't even horror. It's just like a suspense show that's not even really all that suspenseful. It's
really
has mommy issues.
It's really not. I mean, I am glad that they got the dude who's playing Norman Bates. What is it? It's like something Highmore, Freddie Highmore.
Yeah, Freddie Highmore,
Yeah, I'm glad he's not. I mean, I'm glad he's doing something, because it seemed like for a while he was just gonna fade away and go the way of Haley Joel Osment. But he's really good in it. I mean, that's
he's super creepy.
Yeah, he is. But they don't give him enough to be creepy about. And the more it goes on, the more I've not seen the most recent episode, but I've seen all the ones before that. the more it goes on, the less creepy it becomes. And it just becomes like, now it's just like some sort of weird fucking family drama about trying to cover up a murder that happened in the first goddamn episode.
When I saw...
Yeah, well, that's I just finished the last one, the last episode. It's literally the whole show now. The premise is just that this family has mommy issues, like really bad mommy issues. But then at the end of the last episode, it kind of like, no spoiler alert here, but turns out that he happens to be kind of crazy. Go figure. Not that we didn't all see that coming.
What?
I mean,
yeah. Oh, I know. Everybody, just hold on to your seats because Norman Bates. Out of his mind.
What was a little bit unfortunate to me is like when I were first sort of teasing that show and with whether it was like print ads or online web videos and stuff like that and trailers for it, I was thinking this looks really creepy. This looks like it's going to be a very scary show or whatever. And then suddenly it's like, well, it's a drama. It's a drama that is based at its roots in kind of horror, but not much more than that.
Yeah. Which sucks, man, because it's fucking Norman Bates. I mean, he's the original serial killer in my mind.
Oh, yeah,
he's the
absolutely.
original film serial killer. You can't get much cooler than fucking Norman Bates.
But creepier. I mean, that to this day, when I watch the film Psycho, it's a lot of times when you watch older films, you kind of have to realize that you're watching an older film and then appreciate what they were doing at the time.
Yeah.
But that character has held up in creepiness to this day.
You're talking about the old version, right? Not the Vince Vaughn one, because
I
have to ask because all I can see when I see him is wedding pictures. So.
I have only ever seen the Vince Vaughn Psycho.
Oh God, it's terrible.
What a terrible existence that would be. I have a friend who had only ever seen the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and then never. Yeah, he was aware, but he saw the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and he's not like a big horror dude, and didn't like it. So I was trying to convince him to watch the first one because that's really the only good one.
Yeah.
I will say this though, while we're on the topic, the first Nightmare on Elm Street is the only good one, but it's not my favorite. My favorite is Wes Craven's The New Nightmare. Did you ever see that?
Is it called New Nightmare?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one. When is it? What year is that from? Around?
Late 90s. You saw it, Monk?
Yeah.
I fucking love New Nightmare.
It was pretty good.
New Nightmare is like, so Wes Craven wrote and directed, I think he wrote, did he write? Yeah, he wrote and directed the first Nightmare on Elm Street. And then he didn't really have much to do, if anything, with the subsequent 5 after that.
Just like, do whatever you want.
Yeah, do what you want. And then the series sort of died out after the 6th one because fucking Roseanne was in the 6th Nightmare on Elm Street. It was ridiculous. Roseanne Barr and Tom Arnold were in that for no goddamn reason. Anyway, so Nightmare on Elm Street dies out after the 6th one because it's just become stupid at this point. And then fast forward a few years, Wes Craven decides he's going to reboot the series. And this was before horror reboots were like, in style. And so he did it. He did it with New Nightmare. And the whole storyline was that now, because everyone had believed in Freddy Krueger so much from the first 6 films, he had actually become real. And he was haunting the woman who played Nancy in the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
And you could be awake.
Oh, yeah.
So you didn't have to... Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
And he had this completely cool look. I mean, he had the Columbine trench coat. And he had
he was like the high def version of Freddy Krueger.
He was the high def Freddy Krueger, exactly.
Do you remember that one that they did in space?
Freddy versus Jason? Is that what you're... No.
Yeah, that was. I think it was Freddy versus Jason in space. Or
no, it was Jason X.
Jason X.
Yeah.
Was Freddy not in that one?
I don't think so.
No, I'm really sad to say that I have seen Jason X 1.5 times. But
1.5?
But have not seen the what you were just saying.
New Nightmare.
It's
kind of under the radar.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't see it. Even some Freddy fans I know haven't seen New Nightmare.
I gotta watch that
because it sort of exists like outside of the canon of Nightmare on Elm Street, which is what I like about it. I don't know. Anyway. So, that's what we think about Arrested Development coming back. Fucking stoked about that. But Bates Motel is not nearly horror enough, although Freddie Highmore's pretty good. And Hannibal Lecter is a Nazi, and you can't understand what he's talking about.
But
exactly.
I'll say this, though. I think that the direction that a lot of shows are going in, it's kind of fresh. It's nice to see that that people are having different ideas of what we've seen for like the past 5 years on TV.
Yeah.
Not to say there's been no good shows, but I like what's going on for the most part.
I'm down with it too. I'm down with it. So we're gonna play a little bit more Bit Crush for you, and then we're going to come back and talk about the Lords of Salem. This is the part I've been waiting for. I'm sure it's the part you guys have been waiting for, too.
Oh, I absolutely can't wait.
So this is the DorkPod. We'll be right back. Some nice Bit Crush music right there, Bonk.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm loving it.
Sounds wonderful.
Doesn't it sound wonderful? Let's see. Our good friend, Pickle Jar, on Twitter wants to know if any of us have watched Defiance on Sci-Fi.
Haven't seen it yet. I've heard about it, but I have not watched it.
Did you see it yet, Bonk?
Yeah, I've never watched it. Sci-fi is hardcore.
That is hardcore shit.
Pay to get Sci-Fi membership?
I don't know.
It's like a pay-per-view. No, I don't think. I think it's probably a channel that's accessible.
I think I have Sci-Fi, and I think Defiance is on my thing. There's been like this run of shows since NBC. I think it was NBC did Revolution. Mm-hmm. Remember that show?
Yeah.
Which is probably still on. It's got the Bronny the paper towel guy from the Twilight movie. And I don't know. I'm not feeling this like apocalyptic sort of vibe thing going on right now. That's what Defiance is about, isn't it? Isn't it apocalyptic?
I couldn't even. I don't want to say it and then get.
Pickle Jar could probably fill us in.
Yeah, I'm sure he could definitely.
I'm pretty sure it's some kind of weird apocalypse thing. I used to be like super hardcore into apocalyptic stuff, but it's just been done so much.
It has,
you know,
in so many different variations of it too. You need like sub-apocalypse.
Yeah, I think it was Walking Dead. Walking Dead may have ruined it for me because
How could you say that?
Well, I've been absorbed in the apocalypse with Walking Dead for 3 straight years. You know what I mean? Like,
I can understand that.
Even when I'm not watching, when it's in like an off season, like it is right now, I'm thinking about Walking Dead.
You're watching it, and you're just thinking like where?
I'm going back and watching season 1 because that is
I wonder what they're doing right now.
Yeah. What is Andrew Lincoln drinking right now? I wonder. So no, none of us have seen Defiance. I'm sure we'll try to probably before the next week, and that'll be our thing, our TV show that we talk about. So right now we're gonna go into movies, and we all got our hands on some Lords of Salem. We went and saw it, and we are all. I guess we should preface this by saying we are all Rob Zombie fans.
Yeah.
But you're probably not going to like what you're about to hear.
No, not if you're a Rob Zombie fan.
Not if you're a Rob Zombie fan.
There were not many. I had to actually take notes. I took notes throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't take notes during movies, but this is one I had to do.
Why did you?
There was just so much to talk about.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's not. We'll talk about it. We'll get into it.
Well, we're there. We're there. Let's kick it off. What do you think? What do your notes say?
I think for me, and I was just telling you this before we started this when I first got here, that it's really hard. You can ask anybody, and I'll watch a movie with somebody, and everyone will dislike it, and I'll be the one that's like, I liked it actually, because I don't like accepting the fact that I didn't like a movie if I spent like 1.5 hours to 2 hours watching it.
No.
I like trying to find good things about it. And I went into this one not knowing a lot about it. I knew it was Rob Zombie. I knew his wife was in it and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it is just, there's so much in it. I feel like I kind of feel like he had a lot of ideas for a lot of different movies, and he kind of chopped them up and then put them into this, and it didn't really come out that clean looking.
I completely agree with that. I almost like when I finished it, which just took all the patience in the world at this point. I just wish Rob Zombie would maybe just host an art gallery or something and throw together some clips of weird shit that he wants to have in a video and just like play it on a wall for people to like stand and look at, because it didn't seem like 90% of it didn't even really I understood the plot to it and like the general storyline, but like I even told Joel like nowadays I have a lot of trouble getting into horror movies because a lot of them that are deemed horror movies don't really come across as scary like at all. And this one wasn't really like the scariest part of this whole movie was the old ladies being like naked in the beginning.
Do you know who that old lady is? Do either one of you recognize? Did you recognize that old lady?
I mean, kind of, but I would have no idea.
There are two people. I guess we should provide some context. If you haven't seen the movie, it's Rob Zombie's latest movie. Rob Zombie, if you don't know who that is, GTFO. So it's Rob Zombie's latest movie, and the general storyline is it takes place in modern day-ish. Is it modern? Is it like modern? Okay.
Yeah.
Salem, Massachusetts. The protagonist is Sherry Moon Zombie. That's Rob Zombie's wife. You have seen her in all of his other movies.
Every single one.
Yeah, and she plays a radio co-host who gets caught up in a world of witchcraft. And the witchcraft originated in the 1600s, I think, and through a random, strange series of events, it has been passed down to her. I think that's the most spoiler-free I can make it.
Yeah.
So in the 1600s, the title of the film comes from this coven of witches called the Lords of Salem. The lead witch in that, I know this is super obscure. I'll just put that out there right now. The lead witch, I saw her, you're right. She's naked in the movie. She looks fucking, like she's straight out of Auschwitz. I'm watching the movie. I see her and I look at her face. I'm like, God, who is that? I know that face. So I get on IMDb and I look it up. Have either one of you seen Masters of the Universe, the He-Man movie from the 80s?
I'm familiar. I don't think.
Oh my God! Your dork card just ruined. Give me your dork cards. Masters of the Universe was the He-Man movie made in the 80s. I can never fucking pronounce the guy's name. The dude from Rocky, the big blonde guy. Dolph Lundgren or whatever his name is, something like that. He's been in the Expendables movies. That guy plays He-Man. Skeletor is in there, and then Skeletor's right-hand bitch is played by the same woman who is in Lords of Salem as the main witch. And that's all she's done. The last thing she did was He-Man.
Could you imagine them all being in their room, the writer's room or whatever, and their thing, or whatever, whoever discusses the, I know nothing about the productions of films, but so I was sitting there and they're thinking, we need to cast this woman, and then somebody just steps up, wait!
Masters of the Universe!
I know the perfect old lady.
Let's just do it.
Yeah.
There's another weird casting too. One of the so in the movie, the Sherry Moon Zombie lives above this woman and her two sisters, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but they end up being a big part of the storyline. And one of those sisters, the redhead, is the same chick who played what is her name? In Rocky Horror Picture Show, the redhead in Rocky Horror Picture Show, not Susan Sarandon, but the one who was in Tim Curry's crazy transvestite group. Magenta, is that her name? Or something like that.
I don't remember.
But that's the same chick, and she hasn't done anything since that either.
This was a randomly cast.
This was the most random.
Except for Sherry Moon Zombie.
This is Rob Zombie sitting down and being like, what movies haven't I seen? And we should just pick people from them.
Yeah. Sid Haig is in there, although I missed him. I saw him. I didn't catch that it was him in the movie.
Oh yeah.
But I saw him on IMDb. Apparently, he's in there somewhere.
I looked over IMDb afterwards just to see if there were any names.
Yeah.
I didn't catch any of the ones that you caught.
Yeah.
But now that I'm thinking, that's very very funny that there was this very strangely casted cast.
Such a weird cast, yeah. And so that was my first big problem. My other problem is kind of, piggybacking off what you guys have said. It felt like there was so many weird influences going on in this movie. Originally when it started, my response was, this feels Kubrickian. There's this weird sense of isolation going on. There's this, long shots of nothingness and then something happens. And then as it started progressing toward the middle of the movie, I felt myself saying, you probably know who this is, being a big horror fan. I felt myself saying, now this feels like Dario Argento. This feels like Suspiria. There's some weird color contrast going on. Yeah, imagery was weird. And then toward the end, I have nothing to compare it to. Because I don't know what the fuck was happening with the end of this movie.
I think that was the whole general feel of the whole. There were parts that even subplot, the fact that Heidi's character or whatever is a radio DJ host. The three people in that room, they play, it seems like new age metal or like progressive rock music, and there's just like this soulful black man hanging out there with them. And I'm like, if anyone's going to give the best critique on this radio show, it's going to be that guy, because he probably doesn't know anything about what they want to say.
Yeah.
That was really weird. That's like, how did those three people come together, or 3 or 4 people come together? I think it's 3, and they were like, we have a good idea for this show in this early morning.
Oh yeah,
radio.
And he never really had anything to contribute either to the show.
There's no reason he was in that movie.
None, other than he's in every other Rob Zombie movie.
Yeah.
What is that guy's name? I'm trying to find it right now.
I saw it because I wanted to bring him up because
the one that plays Whitey.
The what?
Was not Whitey. That was the guy with the beard, right?
The soulful black guy.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about, okay. Yeah, I don't know who that was either.
There was one thing that I did like about this movie.
Bring it.
And that was Bruce Davison, who not that I know very much about Bruce Davison, but he played Francis Matthias, I think, or Matthias.
Yeah.
He was I don't want to really spoil anything going too much in depth, but he was actually good in this movie. I thought he delivered a solid performance, compared to what the whole movie was. I think he took his role very seriously. Not to say that the other ones didn't, but I could really see a solid performance given there.
You know what's weird? I agree with you. It was a great performance, but the whole time, and this is just a dorky, nitpicky thing, Bruce Davison has been in a lot of shit throughout the years, but one of the things he was in was The Crucible, which with Daniel Day-Lewis and Winona Ryder. And so the whole time, I was like, what a strange career this man has had, that this is his second time doing a Salem witchcraft movie.
It's like foreshadowing of past shadowing.
Yeah, it was very meta. It all felt very meta.
Well, he did X-Men too. He was in X-Men too.
The Senator guy, right?
Yeah, the one that like blobs. They like.
The one that, did you say the one that blobs?
Yeah. He blobs.
That was. There was something else that was sort of like, Buck, you mentioned earlier that there was with the whole idea of patience with this movie, and Joel, I was telling you earlier that it took me 3 times actually sitting down and trying to finish this movie. And you can ask my friends; they were coming in and out of my room, and they were like, "What are you watching? How long is this movie?" I'm like, "It's like an hour and a half, at least an hour and 36 minutes total." But it took me 3 separate days to try and get pieces out of this movie and finally finish it, because it's just doesn't have a good flow to it, or something, at least a flow that was attractive to that I enjoyed. And and then near the end, it's interesting because it's like usually in like the last 15 minutes of movies, a lot of stuff can happen, but it's usually not completely different than the rest of the movie. This was a movie where the last maybe even 5 minutes was just crazy.
Yeah.
And and I was like, my friends were kind of watching it as I was listening with headphones, and they were like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And I didn't watch the movie. I'm like, "Yeah, I watched the movie. I just have no idea what is going on."
What the fuck's happening? Yeah. I actually got through it in one sitting. I feel like I deserve a medal for that.
Oh yeah.
I did it. I did that with you, so I understand that feeling.
Oh, it's painful. I mean, and the thing is, like, if you chop this movie up into like 5 different movies, it's actually a pretty good series of short films.
Yeah.
But when taken as one complete package, it just like had no direction, which is weird for Rob Zombie. And I've always thought this about Rob Zombie. I'll say this: I've always felt like Rob Zombie as a filmmaker has to walk a very fine line. And that line is, you watch like House of a Thousand Corpses, and there are moments in that movie where the sort of like weird imagery and the tone of that movie goes over the top, and you feel yourself sort of urging him to step back a little. And then he does that with, I felt like Devil's Rejects had a really thorough tone that went over the top, but in the good way. And I felt like, the Halloween movies, same thing. This one, it's just like, he stopped walking that line. He just did shit in this movie for the sake of an aesthetic, like just to be cool. Mm-hmm. And then, it makes no goddamn sense.
That's what I'm saying. It's a giant art project for him. It was like arts and crafts time for Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
Like you just sit down and paste things all over a movie, and that was it.
And I think that's a lot of ways of kind of what it hasn't been received terribly.
Yeah.
Then again, no horror movie is going to be getting that great of write-ups or reviews or anything like that. But I was kind of looking into it, and I was shocked that somebody like me who loves bad horror, it's one of my favorite genres, maybe my favorite. And I watched this, and like somehow critically it wasn't destroyed. It was it's somewhere in the middle, maybe a little bit lower. Mm-hmm. But for me, I just and then I've seen the remake of Straw Dogs like 3 times. Yeah. I've seen like bad movies multiple times, and I love them.
Yeah.
This is not this.
I wish we'd had this podcast around. Now that you're talking about bad movies, I wish we'd had this podcast around when you saw Spring Breakers, because that would have been a great. I actually saw. I did not see it until I read what you thought about it on the site, and then I went and saw it, and I completely 100% agree with you about it being like the biggest practical joke in Hollywood in the past year.
But if that is in fact true, what I wrote, because I was kind of speculating.
And this is an article, just for people new, this is an article on DorkJuice.com. It's our review of Spring Breakers. It's easily found. Just go to the movies section at DorkJuice.com. Sam wrote it. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, and in that I was talking about how a movie like Spring Breakers was like it's almost like Harmony Korine was trolling America, I think I said. Yeah. In the sense that he kind of made this movie that was like, and it's not surprising, he's a strange director, but the way about it, you kind of have to see the movie or at least know a little bit about it to understand it, I guess. But he took a bunch of Disney Channel stars and did a bunch of weird stuff, put Skrillex for the soundtrack, and all this different. Gucci Mane had an appearance in it. And it all kind of accumulated into this movie that the way it could have been, it's a good movie, I think, but it's a brilliant movie if he was joking. And so that's for him to let us know maybe someday. But and now we kind of, if we go back to the Lords of Salem, I don't think Rob Zombie was joking.
I don't think so either.
No, not even close.
And we got asked on Twitter, so don't watch Lords of Salem. I guess we'll just do a roundtable and say, like, if you should. My vote is you should see it if you're a Rob Zombie fan, but wait until it's out on DVD. I wouldn't go hunt down a theater to find it. If you're like a diehard Rob Zombie fan, then nothing I'm going to say is going to convince you. But if you're like me and you just, listen to his music every now and then, you watch a new movie of his when it comes out, wait for DVD and then see it. If you're not a Rob Zombie fan, but you are a horror fan, fuck this movie. Yeah. If you're not a Rob Zombie fan or a horror fan, then I don't know why you would even be asking if you should see this movie. So that's my vote. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, you mentioned it, but I would not go to a theater necessarily, unless you like watching movies by yourself on a Wednesday afternoon. That would be a good time. I feel like this is the kind of movie that you look at the show times and you're like, why is it playing at 1:45?
Yeah.
Just one showing.
Yeah. So you can get up and walk out of the theater without pissing anyone off.
So it was like...
I think it's so you can masturbate to Sherry Moon's zombie in the dark.
There's actually one time in the beginning about the movie I feel like Rob Zombie was I think we can all kind of guess the kind of person he was growing up. Probably maybe not the most popular, whatever. Yeah. And I think nowadays, especially in this movie, there were some just random scenes when she was naked. Yeah. Not a ton, but there were a few when it was just like it was almost like Rob Zombie saying, "Look at how hot my wife is." Yeah. Like jocks in high school who made fun of me.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that. I'm completely.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm cool with that too, actually.
I'm not complaining, but that was just an observation. But yeah, so like you said, if you're a Rob Zombie fan, there's nothing I'm going to be able to say. But even then, I just don't see it.
Yeah.
It took me 3 days to finish this movie, and I can't stress it enough, I really, really like just badly made horror movies, and this one was... I wrote in my notes, maybe the worst horror film of all time.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really come across in the way that we were talking about it. Yeah. But it's just there was nothing I could take away and be like, that was a positive from this movie.
Yeah.
Maybe like a learning experience though.
A learning experience of I don't know
of how not to make a horror movie.
Yeah. No, they should show this in like film classes and stuff.
Don't do this shit.
Yeah, they first class.
Yeah, just have everybody overanalyze it for like college credits or something, because that wouldn't be the hardest course in the world.
If he had just committed to one of the motifs that he was going for, I probably would have loved it, because I love the Kubrick feel and I love the Argento feel, and whatever the hell was happening at the end, I'm not sure. But if he had just done one of those, it would have been a kick-ass movie.
I was worried that I was going to come in here today and talk to you guys about it, and you were going to be like, "Oh, what do you mean you didn't understand the end of the movie?" And it doesn't sound like that's the case.
No.
And I really
Nope.
And then the shoot.
Well, we can't spoil
We can't say anything.
Yeah. What do you think, Bunk?
I said to you guys, I mean, if you're gonna watch it, bring something to keep yourself occupied during it, in case you want to like knit an entire sweater or something. It is what it is. I mean, it's not. I've really just I've lost faith in horror movies at this point. There's a couple coming out that look good, but that doesn't mean they're gonna be. This wasn't like any exception to that. It dragged. See, but then again, I also overanalyze horror movies. So like when I see a girl possessed, my thought isn't, man, I gotta help that girl. It's like, get the fuck out of there. This is a problem. This movie would have been over a half an hour ago.
Yeah. So
I would say bring something to keep occupied if you're gonna watch it. I wouldn't recommend going to see it in theaters. I wouldn't spend money on this movie at all.
Yeah.
Maybe
have you seen the remake of Evil Dead yet?
What's that?
Have you seen the remake of The Evil Dead yet?
I haven't actually. I have not watched that yet. It's on my list of to-dos for now.
I'd say that's really the only. We did the first What's Wrong with video was on the remake of The Evil Dead. So you can check out our YouTube channel and see what I thought about it hypercritically. But again, if something is on What's Wrong with, it means there is some facet of it that we really, really like.
Now I'm even starting to question this next one.
Rob Zombie. I really like Rob Zombie.
Oh, yeah, so we can kind of broaden it and be like, Rob Zombie.
Well, I love Rob Zombie.
Okay.
I love his entire canon of films.
Yeah.
I love most of his music, but I don't love this. I don't love this at all. Anyway, so Evil Dead, since you said that you're kind of lost faith in horror lately, I'm not sure that Evil Dead would restore your faith. Because, I mean, it was a good movie, I guess. But
it was effective.
Yeah.
I think, for me, I'm a big fan of the Evil Dead franchise, or trilogy, I guess you could say. But it wasn't great. I went into it much more hyped than I came out of it.
Yeah.
But I think it did the job.
Did you stay until after the credits?
I didn't. And it bothers me so much, because I was saying to my friends who I was there with, I'm like, I hate leaving and then finding out that there was something and then having to find some weird clip of it somewhere.
Did you find it though? Did you find out what happens after the credits?
I found out what happened, but I didn't actually see the clip yet.
It's weird. I talked about this a little bit in the video, in the What's Wrong With video, but something happens. Well, I guess, can we spoil it? I don't know.
It's been out long enough. I would say spoil it.
At the end of Evil Dead, and this is not spoiling anything in the storyline, this is just a random thing that happens at the end of the credits. At the end of the credits, Bruce Campbell, who is obviously the guy from the first Evil Dead and then Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2, there we go. So he shows up at the very end of the credits, and I think he was the producer for the remake, or one of the producers, along with Sam Raimi. He shows up at the end of the credits, and it's just a profile shot of his face, and he turns to the camera and does his tagline, which is groovy. So he just turns and goes, groovy. And, it's cool. It's a cool nod. But the more I thought about that moment, the more I was like, why? Okay, so am I supposed to consider this as Bruce Campbell, the producer of this remake, saying, hey, I like this film, and I like that I was a part of it? Or am I supposed to consider this as Bruce Campbell's character from the original Evil Dead somehow being connected? And then I thought, well, the larger point here is either way, this is a tying back to the original Evil Dead. And so that makes me think that Sam Raimi and the people behind the new one are wanting you to consider this along with the first three, instead of saying like this is a remake, sort of saying no, these things are combined, because they didn't do that with the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. They didn't do that with the Jason remake. They didn't, Jason remake. They didn't do it with the Halloween remake. I mean, this is a clear nod. This is the star of the original giving a thumbs up after the credit. I don't know. It's just fucked with my head.
It's like a verifying thing.
And I don't want to consider the remake as with the original.
Although I've heard rumblings about Army of Darkness 2 or certain things like that, and I can't confirm those.
Yeah.
I've heard some things about that. So we'll see. I mean, the fact that because that's why they had such a difficult time in making it for the longest, or rebooting it or whatever, because they couldn't get, I think, Raimi on board, and then Bruce Campbell on board. They wanted to kind of have everybody happy, and now that they did, and they released it, and it was good. It wasn't outstanding, but
I'm excited to see what the director of it does in the future, because this was his first big feature. Which is saying so. I mean, as a debut for a director, this is huge. I mean, this is like Guillermo del Toro huge. I mean, it was a big deal. So I'm excited to see what he could do. But anyway, what the fuck are we talking about? Lords of Salem. Back to that movie. So yeah, I guess that's everybody's vote. Don't see it in theaters. If you like Rob Zombie, see it later. If you don't like Rob Zombie, maybe in a couple years. If you don't like horror, then you're not a good person anyway, so who cares about what you think?
Someday you'll be on a road trip somewhere. People always seem to go out west or south, I don't know.
Yeah. And
you'll stop at a gas station, and you'll go into there, you'll be paying for your gas or something, because it'll be one of those old time ones where you go and and you'll look into the DVD bin, and you'll see Lords of Salem, and you'll think, honey, we can bring this to the motel, and maybe they'll have a DVD player on the way, and we can watch this.
Yeah.
Then you can watch it.
Yeah.
And laugh at it.
Only then.
Only then.
All right, guys, this is the Dork Podcast, a.k.a. the DorkPod. You can live tweet us, and we will probably respond to you at hashtag the DorkPod on the Twitter. Next up, we're going to be talking about movies that are coming out in the near-ish future, and one that's not coming out until July of 2014. But we're going to talk about it because shit happened with it this week. So a little bit more Bit Crunch made for you fresh by the good mind named Bunk. That should be your new legal name, the good mind named Bunk.
I can change my usernames to that.
All right, here's some Bit Crush. We'll be right back with our upcoming movies section. So a lot of shit happened this week, upcoming movies-wise. A lot of shit's been happening in the past few weeks. I know there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. I guess the first thing, we should sort of do like chronologically in terms of what's coming out. I've got a nice list here in front of me. The only one I don't have on this list that I want to talk about, because I just thought about it, is Kick-Ass 2. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Let me see. Can one of you guys look at the release date? Somebody look at the release date. But I'm pretty sure the first one that's coming out that we want to talk about is Iron Man 3. That is coming out May 3rd, which is next Friday. I'm kind of on the fence about Iron Man 3. I don't know about you guys. I know I like everybody I know is super excited about Iron Man 3, but the thing is, I feel like we may be in danger of having like a Dark Knight Rises on our hands, where like they're so, you know, Iron Man and Thor and Captain America and Hulk, all these movies culminate in the Avengers, right? And so the Avengers was fucking awesome. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Would anybody disagree with that? The Avengers is incredible, right? Right?
Oh, I'm right there with you.
Joss Whedon doesn't get better than that. So what I'm worried is that because the Avengers was so good, going back to the Iron Man formula and this new movie is going to be boring or not as interesting.
I could sort of speak on that a little bit as somebody who, for me, I think maybe Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man, is my favorite superhero movie.
Oh, really?
And then after that, I think Iron Man, the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
I'm probably spacing out on something right now. No, I tell you, why am I even saying that? Dark Knight was my favorite of all time.
I was about to be like, give me your Dork card again.
Dark Knight is my favorite of all time. Then we have Spider-Man. I can confidently say.
Did you see the remake, the Spider-Man remake?
I didn't see it.
It's actually pretty damn good.
I wanted to see it for the purpose that Dennis Leary was in it.
Yeah.
I'm a big Dennis
Leary. And he's good in it.
Yeah.
Is it better than the Sam Raimi
one? That's a hard call. I don't know.
Make that call. Make that call, Joe.
When we make that call, fucking make that call. I would say yes.
Really?
Yes.
All right.
And why I would say yes is because I grew up reading Spider-Man comics, and the remake feels a lot closer to those than Sam Raimi's did. Mm-hmm. So I'm super biased. That's the only reason I'm saying yes. Is if you're just a person who loves Spider-Man movies, I don't know. That's up in the air. But if you're a person who has been reading Spider-Man for years, then you're probably going to like the remake more. So that'd be my answer.
And for with Iron Man, it's like I really, really, really like the first one.
Yeah.
Second one, not as much. Why do we think that the third one? Why does anybody think that the third one's going to be that great? And you're right. People have been getting extremely excited about this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like I just don't see why they're trending down for me in terms of quality. And so I don't have a ton of confidence. I'm going to see it, but I don't have a ton of confidence in it. And it's
maybe there's something to be said for the villains in the movies, because I mean, if you look at The Dark Knight, I mean, there's just such an all-time high with that Heath Ledger Joker that when you get like the garble-voiced Bane, you can't understand anything. That movie kind of fell flat. But now you got 90-year-old Ben Kingsley playing the villain.
That's gonna be. I don't like Ben Kingsley. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I like he's great in Gandhi. But then everything after that, I'm like, I just forget that he's in movies.
Well, because
he's
he does
old.
a lot
He's
of
an old
movies,
guy.
like that you never would think he was.
Yeah.
I feel like he does.
He was in that Mike Myers, The Love Guru.
Forget about that. And a couple other ones. He was also in The Dictator.
He was.
He's a really good actor. He's a really, really good actor who has just some very questionable career choices, in my opinion. But Bunk, were you finished saying I think you had some more?
Yeah, pretty. I mean, I liked Iron Man the first one, and then the second one I was even cool with Mickey Rourke. I thought he did a good job, and storyline wise, it was what it was. But I thought the villain was cool in that, and Robert Downey Jr. He is Tony Stark,
Yeah.
To a T. So I think maybe it's just all that's going to be left in the end is Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, and then the rest of it's going to fall as it seems to be doing.
Man, that would be depressing. Well, I mean, they're also gearing up for the Avengers 2. Which is going to have Thanos, I think is his name, as the villain. If you saw Avengers 1 after the credits, they did that thing with Thanos. And that's going to be a big... And this is something else I'm worried about while we're sort of talking about Ben Kingsley. So also, I grew up reading Iron Man, and the Mandarin, who is the villain that Ben Kingsley is playing, is sort of, in my mind anyway, I equate him as Batman's Joker. Like, he is the Iron Man villain. When you talk to people who have read Iron Man comics and you ask them who is the biggest fucking villain in the Iron Man series, the Mandarin, hands down, he is the one. And then whipping him out in the third movie, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm a little worried, because the second movie was the perfect movie to whip out Joker, Third movie, biggest villain, knowing that there's going to be at least probably one more Iron Man before Avengers 2, maybe. I don't know. Maybe the timeline is off. Mm-hmm. I'm just a little worried about that, because this has to somehow lead toward Avengers 2. And so I'm a little worried about how having the biggest Iron Man villain before you have, who is arguably the biggest villain in the Marvel Universe, period, in Thanos, I don't know, it seems like it may be like overkill. What are they going to do after this? After the Mandarin's gone, there aren't that many great villains to replace. They've already done Obadiah Stane. I mean, and he would be my second. So, as a comic book nerd, I'm worried about the Mandarin being in here, and I'm also worried about Ben Kingsley playing him.
I'm a little bit surprised. I'm not personally a comic book nerd. However, when I'm like looking at somebody like you and listening to what you're kind of talking about, I'm actually amazed that you are a fan of as many comic book movies as you are, because for the most part, and you'll have to fill in with this, for the most part, aren't they, not all of them, I know some do a nice job, but aren't a lot of them just kind of pushing away the fans of, like, the real hardcore fans?
Some. I mean, the ones that really succeed in my mind don't. They find a way to expand on what the comic book fans already know and like increase the experience, expand the experience. I felt like the Avengers did that really well. And I feel like for the most part, all the Marvel movies that led up to the Avengers did that really well. You can't really say something like the Dark Knight series, for instance, is based on a few different storylines. And so it's hard to say that, like, you almost can't go into a Dark Knight movie as a comic book fan, because going in that they're going to be pulling from different places, and there's no way to know what you're about to walk into. But the Marvel movies don't really work like that. It's usually pretty clear what you're about to walk into. This one, I don't know.
So you really are a little bit worried then, obviously, because of that they have been doing a good job.
Yeah.
You don't just have like a trust for them at this
Not
point?
really. And it's because the second I saw the villain at the end of Avengers, the second I saw him turn his head and I recognized him, I knew who he was, and I know what that means. And I'm not sure if it's a spoiler at this point to say what this guy is, but suffice it to say, he is one of the biggest, most powerful Marvel villains ever. I mean, like, there are very few that are playing on the same stage as this villain will be in the Avengers 2. But the second I saw that, I was like, how the fuck are they going to build up to him? I mean, he has a very complicated storyline, and a lot of it takes place in space.
It's like Jason X.
It's like Jason X.
Yeah.
There are a lot of new characters that need to be introduced, probably, to build up to him. I don't know. I'm hesitant.
It sounds like you think that they're going to just end up, at the rate that they're going, maybe kind of rushing a very important part of the series, sort of.
That's what I'm worried about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's if they include him in the next movie too.
Yeah.
And they don't hold off until a third or a fourth movie.
Man, oh my God! If that was just if that's what they do, I'm gonna wash my hands.
But that's the scary thing, because it's not driven by what the fans want.
Yeah.
It's driven by. I mean, I'm not saying anything new here, but it's the money. And if they can get people coming back and back and back for movies and movies and movies, they don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
What the comic book fans think, or what the fans of anything. Because at the end of the day, it's gonna be, if we can make another $1 trillion from this, movies make $1 trillion. But if we can make a lot of money from this movie, even if it's sacrificing some hardcore fans liking us, they're going to do it.
See, I wouldn't even consider myself a hardcore fan. I just grew up. I'm certainly not like Nick. Nick at Dork Juice, one of our contributors who does our weekly comic book stuff. He's like a hardcore fan. I mean, that dude knows everything about comics. I just grew up reading them. I'm not I didn't live at a comic book store or anything, and I also grew up watching movies and stuff too, so they weren't my only medium. But even for me, as I would consider myself a mid-range comic book fan, I'm really worried about Iron Man 3. I'm super worried about it. I mean, it looks very cool, and there's a lot of destruction going on, and you get to see Tony Stark's house get blown up and etc. But in terms of storyline, I'm pretty worried about what we're going to see next Friday. We're obviously going to review it.
Oh yeah.
On the podcast and probably on the site as well. So
maybe they'll restore faith in comic book movies or superhero movies, and they'll just go all out and pick some really obscure people to make movies about. Because I personally am waiting for the Aquaman movie. I think it's going to be the day that comes out.
They're making an Ant-Man movie. Do you know that?
I saw that. I did see that.
Ant-Man is actually a pretty important character in Avengers lore. I'm pretty glad they're making an Ant-Man because it's going to be funny. I mean, Ant-Man's a funny comic. I'll tell you though, even though I'm worried about Iron Man 3, there's one movie that's coming out the following weekend, I believe. Let me check. No, it's 2 weekends away from the Iron Man 3 release that I am not worried about at all. And that is Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah.
Are you guys Trekkies?
This is where I fall off because I didn't see the first one.
What?
Not a Trekkie. This is where it's just like my dork card. You can't see this, but I'm turning all of my dork cred. Right?
Icon has all dork cred.
Yeah, that was one thing that I really had a hard time ever. I'm not like a hater or anything like that. I respect people who are really into things and stuff like that. But I'm gonna have to kind of let this one go.
Right. Did you see it, Bunk? Are you a Trek fan?
Yeah, I lit my dork card on fire about 5 minutes ago. I have not seen the first one.
What the fuck?
I know. wait. I will say, in my defense, I do have members of my immediate family that are like die-hard Trekkies, and I grew up having to watch. I'm talking like original series, original movies. The theme songs are permanently burned into the back of my skull, just to the point where like sometimes I can't fall asleep. I'll throw on like the Next Generation theme song, and
nice,
and it works. Yeah.
Well, since I'm alone in a cave here, we'll just sort of gloss over it. I'm super excited about it, and the first one, the reboot by the dude who did Lost. What is that guy's name? J.J. Abrams. By the dude who did Lost. Just fucking incredible. And
weren't a lot of people? I mean, I do remember like kind of when the first one was coming out. Wasn't it a big? People like J.J. Abrams, obviously, he's done a lot of good stuff, but wasn't still a lot of worry about if he was going to be able to do it well. And then
and most of it was because he pretty much told people before the release that he does not care as much about sticking to original storylines as he does about creating a new Star Trek experience. And for some people that pissed him off. I'm actually not enough of a Trekkie for that to piss me off, I don't think. So that I thoroughly enjoyed the first one, and I'm probably going to enjoy this one. And I'll say the biggest reason I'm probably going to enjoy it is Benedict Cumberbatch, who is the villain in this movie and has, I guess, the thing he's probably most well known for here in the States is being Sherlock in the BBC Sherlock series, which, if you have not seen, is not only the hands-down best Sherlock incarnation ever, it's one of the best pieces of television you'll ever watch in your entire life. It's fucking incredible. It's Stephen Moffat writes it and directs it, and that is, if you're a Doctor Who fan, that is one of the guys that does a lot of Doctor Who new series stuff with Matt Smith. So anyway, back to the point. The guy who plays Sherlock in that series is now the villain in Star Trek Into Darkness, and he's just a fucking incredible actor. So that's the reason I'm super stoked about that. But now we'll move on, since I'm the only one who's apparently really stoked about it. We'll move on to something
that you really... looked really good, if that helps.
What was that?
I said the trailer looked really good, if that helps.
Because it's going to be awesome. You should both see the first one. I don't know why you haven't. It's great.
I think...
Winona Ryder's in it, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Winona Ryder, she's like dressed up to be older, but Winona Ryder, at this point, I think she's so out of it that she's retro now, so that makes her cool. Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's even weird for me to think about Winona Ryder being retro, but...
That's the way she felt to me.
I'll see it eventually.
That's good. Anyway, let's move on to something you're excited about. And you just turned me on to this morning, actually. I didn't even know it existed, but it's The Purge.
The Purge.
Yes.
Okay, this movie, my brother sent me a link to watch this trailer maybe a month ago, a few weeks ago. And I was like, I hadn't heard of this movie. And I started watching the trailer, and I'm like, this, just from the moment that you start watching it, and you watched the trailer this morning, it's like, oh my God. This looks incredible. At least for me, when I was watching, that's what I got. And it's basically from what I kind of collected from the trailers, it's sort of a film about one day of the year when all law enforcement and high officials kind of don't do anything about anything. They kind of go off work in a sense, and everybody kind of just purges their any violence that they ever wanted to. Do, and it's basically madness for one night. And then there's a family who, and everybody kind of prepares for it, at least or to the best of their abilities, and this family is very prepared for it, closes up shop, their house is very secure, and then looks like the son, and this isn't spoiling, this is all in the trailer, and then the son feels bad for a guy who he sees outside who's trying to find a place, lets him into the house, dad gets family gets very angry at the son for doing this because they don't know who he is. He's somebody, we don't know who he is, but because these people come after him, and we don't know why they're going after him, but this movie just looks badass.
Yeah.
And scary and exciting, and I don't know maybe what you guys want to say about the
What do you think about it, Bunk?
Honestly, like I was saying before, I have a hard time finding horror movies that seem like they're actually going to scare me. This doesn't come across so much as a horror movie as it does like a thriller, but it looks like it's going to scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I don't know why, and I think it might just have something to do with the fact that, like, how far off are we really from this actually being something that could possibly happen in life?
And this is the kind of like apocalyptic dystopia sort of shit that I really like. That's not so much about, you know, the landscape of human civilization and the end of that landscape, but the landscape of the human mind and the end of that landscape. It sort of felt like that movie you also turned me on to this movie. I'm just now like noticing how many movies you've turned me on to, Sam. The movie you turned me on to, that David Guy Levy movie, Would You Rather? Mm-hmm. I mean, that movie, Sam did an interview with David Guy Levy, and it's on the website, on dorkjuice.com, and he made a movie called Would You Rather, and it's about this group of people who all attend this sort of dinner thing, and they play a very simple game of Would You Rather, but it gets very fucked up very quickly. It's a super weird feeling movie. It's totally unsettling. But that's sort of the same vibe I get from The Purge, is that the whole time I'm just going to be uncomfortable. Like, and I love that. I fucking love that feeling. Mm-hmm. So I'm really looking forward. Is there anybody behind The Purge that we know?
Well, I was just trying to find the exact names, but they've been advertising it as like from the producers of, I think, Paranormal Activity and Sinister. And actually, have you seen Sinister?
I have seen Sinister.
Yeah, and Buck, how about you?
Oh, no, I have not seen Sinister, but I have seen Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, and so...
I love how we all sort of laugh when we say Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it is... we could talk about Paranormal Activity at some point, but Sinister. I don't know what you guys, or what you thought about it, Joel.
I loved it.
I thought it was incredible.
Great movie.
Ethan Hawke was really good in it. And it's nice to know that you have the minds behind a movie that you like doing another movie, and that looks good anyways. Yeah. I thought... Paranormal Activity, you can take it or leave it, but when I saw Sinister, that the producers behind that had to do with this, and that Ethan Hawke was in it, so clearly there's this kind of connection going on, not necessarily between the films, but the people behind them.
Yeah.
And that got me really excited, because I'm like, Sinister scared me, like scared the hell out of me, and it's not too easy for a movie to do that these days. Yeah. So could not be more excited.
I'm really excited. I had no idea it existed before you sent me the link to it. But yeah, The Purge. Apparently that's where it's fucking at, and that is June 7th. So there's another horror. We've had like superheroes and horror. That's our day here.
Did either of you guys, while you were watching the trailer, did either of you actually like think to yourself, like, if it happened, what would you do if you got the Purge for 12 hours?
I did think that. What would you do, Bunk? Bunk? Did we lose Bunk?
We may have lost him.
We may have lost Bunk. What would you do, Sam?
What I would do, well, the fact that it looked like this family was very well protected from this night, but I think that probably to get this home security system at the level that they had it probably takes a lot of money. And so, in the event that I'm not anticipating having the kind of money that that family did in the future, or at least not at the moment. So I don't know what I would do. I would probably try and find some alley somewhere and lay in that just under a blanket. Curl up, maybe listen to some, I don't know,
Slayer.
Some Slayer or something, and just try and zone out. That night, to me, that's frightening, and it's just, yikes. I think, because the thing behind it is just, it looks like the families that were safe had a lot of money to protect themselves, and at the moment, I think I have like $35.
You are fucked.
Yeah, I could pay like a what do you call it, bodyguard, like maybe for 15 minutes to protect me from the Purge. And it's just really a frightening situation.
It really is.
Scenario. And I was just looking at who directed this movie, and let me get the name really quick, is, James DeMonico. and he didn't direct. He hasn't directed too many movies, but do you remember the Robin Williams film Jack?
I remember
He
that.
wrote that movie. So I don't know what that's saying about how this movie's going to be, but that was a good movie. So we have some good people going into this.
Well, I'm calling Punk back. We lost the connection. That's that ringing noise you hear. And it went away. But yeah, I don't know what I would do if I was in the situation at the Purge. I would.
Do you think you would purge, or would you try and hide?
I think I'd probably purge.
But I'd die because I'm not. I tell people, like, when I go on dates with girls, I always tell them, like, listen, like, if somebody comes up and tries to attack us, what am I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah, because, like, I like to think that I'm, like, this guy who can, like, fend for himself or something, or at least in the sense of fighting or something like that. I don't know how to fight. I don't know any of that stuff. So maybe if I had the proper
weaponry
to go into the Purge.
If I had Michael Clark Duncan walking around.
Yeah, Michael Clark Duncan. Yeah, so it's hopefully we never get to that. I would actually much rather be in a game of Would You Rather as from the film Would You Rather than probably go into the Purge just because I don't know. I said that too quickly. Just like I said, the Spider-Man was my favorite superhero movie too quickly. So I have to think about it a little bit.
All right, I think we got. Are you there, Bunk?
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all right. Bunk is back, everybody. No need to fear.
You guys finish everything without me. It's okay.
We did. It's over. Well, we actually are kind of running out of time. We've got about 15 minutes or so left here. So there are a few other movies that we're really excited about. The one thing I want to talk about, and this one's not coming out for a really, really long time, but this is July 17th, 2014 is the release date right now, and it's X-Men Days of Future Past. So this is I guess technically the 5th X-Men movie, but it is the sequel to the last X-Men movie.
What was that called?
Oh, what was that called?
I want to get that because that.
It was something First Class. Yeah. And that had nobody, I don't think, from the original 3 X-Men movies. It was a prequel to the X-Men movies, and I loved it. I loved the shit out of First Class.
I'm not a huge X-Men fan overall.
Me either, honestly.
But the First Class I went to see it with some friends when it came out, and I was like, and I think that's the only time I've seen it. I should go back and watch it again because I really like that movie.
It's a great movie, and this is the sequel to that. And the reason I want to talk about it, even though it's not until like next year, is that we had some pictures online be released this past week. What all we have, Bunk? I know you and I were talking. We had Storm. Storm was out this week.
Yeah, there was Storm and Beast's Eyeball.
Beast's Eyeball, yeah. I guess we already sort of know what Beast is going to look like because he became Beast in First Class. But we saw Storm being played again by Halle Berry.
No complaints?
No complaints. I always want to call her Halle Berry Jr. I don't know why. Every time I hear Halle Berry.
Just because?
Just because it sounds good.
Just Halle, friend of the show, Halle Berry.
Friend of the show, Halle Berry Jr. playing Storm. I'm really excited about this movie. If you guys haven't seen the pictures yet, everything looks cool, so go look into that. But that's way down the road. I guess we've got time for one more, so we'll talk about the one that is... I'll just mention the two that we're probably going to talk about next week since we're not hitting them now. Those are Man of Steel, coming out June 14th, and Thor: The Dark World, coming out November 8th. We got our first trailer for that this week, and we'll definitely be talking about that next week. So tune back in for that. The one we are going to talk about is coming out in June 12th, and that is This Is the End. And so Dork Juice is like as much humor as it is dork. Which is why the name is Dork Juice. And so This Is the End is not a dorky movie, I would say. This Is the End is a straight-up comedy.
Yes.
If you haven't heard about this movie, it's got so many fucking people in it.
And probably more than we've seen in trailers and stuff like that. Just like
it's got everybody.
Everybody. Yeah. James Franco, Seth Rogen, Michael Cera,
Rihanna. Sorry, I think is in it.
Aziz Ansari. Isn't Mindy, what's her name? Is she in the trailer?
Mindy Kaling, yeah, she's in it.
Mindy Kaling. Emma Watson.
Yes.
Emma Watson.
I can't remember the line exactly, but they have an amazing line in the trailer with her.
She shows up.
Hermione's
So the storyline
of
of This Is the End is the apocalypse has happened, right? And all of these stars are not playing characters. We should mention that all of these stars are playing themselves. And they're at a party at James Franco's house when the apocalypse breaks out, right? And so it's them dealing with the apocalypse, and Emma Watson apparently plays some sort of drifter that shows up and steals all their shit.
But she is Emma Watson.
She is Emma Watson.
Yeah.
Emma Watson as Emma Watson.
Yeah.
She's in another movie coming out soon too. I forgot the name of it, but she's like
The Bling Ring. It's the
the Bling Ring.
Yeah.
The one where
looks good as well.
it does look good. Surprising.
Sofia Coppola, I think.
Yeah. Which I'm not a big Sofia Coppola fan, but yeah, Bling Ring looks pretty damn good.
But but this is the end. This is just one of those movies that you kind of feel like all these guys were probably smoking or something in a room, and they were like, "Hey, why don't we do this? I'm sure we have enough pull to get all these actors that we want in it."
Yeah,
it looks like they got every actor that they wanted in it.
It seems that way.
And I can't wait.
You know they're gonna have a great fucking cameo. Like they're gonna pull out. They're gonna pull like a Zombieland Bill Murray, where there's just one cameo that everybody is talking about.
Above all, it's it looks like it's just really. Really awesome time.
Yeah. What do you think, Bunk? Are you stoked about?
I'm super excited for that. Yeah, they did like a viral. I think it was like a YouTube trailer release promotion for it on 420, and it was basically like if you bought your ticket on 420, they bought your snacks for you.
Nice.
Like that. That was their big gimmick, and I was like, that's fucking genius because you know how many like potheads are gonna go see that fucking movie, and they're all just gonna be like, "What? Free munchies for me? Thanks a lot."
Yeah.
So I think it looks hysterical. I've been since I saw the red band. I was just the Hermione thing alone just got me at the end. I'm like that. I will see it for that sole reason.
Just got me. Yeah. I was afraid she was going to be doing like super serious stuff from now on because she did that Perks of Being a Wallflower thing.
Yeah.
It's always fun to find out that people who we think are very serious actors or actresses actually have a sense of humor as well.
So I'm glad to see her in this. Another one we're going to be talking about next week, since we didn't get to it today, is Kick-Ass 2. That now has a Red Band trailer and I think a second trailer. I don't know if it's Red Band.
August 16th also that's coming out.
August 16th. Going to be a big weekend. So yeah, that is all the movies we're excited about, plus ones we're going to be talking about in the future. Iron Man 3, it sounds like we're all kind of iffy-ish. Star Trek Into Darkness, I'm really excited about, and you guys aren't cool enough to be excited about it. The Purge looks fucking awesome. It looks like it's going to be a great sort of underground movie that you can, whip out when you're out with your friends like, I've seen The Purge. Have you seen The Purge? You don't know what The Purge is?
And then you can discuss what we were doing about what you do in The Purge.
Yeah. And this is the end. And those are the ones we're stoked about. Again, we're going to be talking about Kick-Ass 2, Man of Steel, Thor the Dark World, and probably a little bit more about X-Men Days of Future Past if anything else gets released on that next week. So we're going to take a little Bit Crush break here and play some more of Bunk's beautiful music. And then we'll be right back. This is the DorkPod. What do you make your music on, Bunk?
I got Logic on my Mac, but I used to do GarageBand for a while when I was in high school and stuff.
And you grew out of it.
There's such minimal capabilities. That's all.
Yeah.
Plus, you can make things sound like video games with Logic.
That's a very good point. All right, this brings us to the end of the DorkPod episode 1. Massively successful, in my opinion. This was fucking awesome.
Just that there was a Jason X reference.
A repeated Jason X reference.
We gotta start having some people on on Facebook or anywhere just comment and just try and put the odds on just random movie references. That they think.
We'll make a drinking game out of it. Make a drinking game out of it.
What was the one that you had with the actress that was in?
Masters of the Universe.
Yeah. Why was there a Masters of the Universe reference? Because it's amazing.
Because it's amazing. Because it's the best movie ever made, hands down. Way better than Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, by the way, Masters of the Universe. So anyway, this brings us to the end of the podcast. I guess we'll be doing this weekly from now on, if everybody's cool with that, and we can make that happen. So this has been the DorkPod. I am Joel.
I'm Sam.
I'm Bunk.
You sound like you had to think about that. And we will be posting this podcast on the site on dorkjuice.com. Please do check us out on Twitter at dorkjuice tweets, on Facebook. Check out the site dorkjuice.com. Check out our YouTube channel, which is YouTube.com/dorkjuice. And we'll catch you guys next time.